Okay, so this is plate number 1. It sits right up against the back of the gun. And I've gone through and I've made some markings basically where this corner is. So I want to make it so my grub screw will go through and basically lock. Woo! It's too zoomed. So it'll basically go through and lock into this corner here so that it can't slide down. So if you look here, you can kind of see the marking, and I'm going to be putting it right there so that this will also act as a support piece. I'm going to put on the left side. Once again, I'm using a number 39 drill bit or 1/8 inch. And here's where you hope that you measured properly. Just going to double check. Technically we have one other shot at this. The other side, if I played my hole wrong. Well, it looks pretty spot on. Now before I go and thread it, I'm just going to return it to the gun stock here, just so I can visually check our alignment. That looks pretty much spot on. So I might actually just try and do it here. So once again, our 3mm grub screw that I just put into the body of the gun. There we go. Which you shouldn't do. And I'm just going to thread it in. And like I said, because this is relatively thin plastic, you know, it isn't particularly tough. You don't have to do a hole. Actually, it could be a little bit lower now that I'm looking at it. So I might put it in the other side. So a little bit of trial and error here. It isn't fully locking it in exactly where I want it to. So I'm going to go ahead and take note of how much movement I have here so I could properly drill a hole on the other side. And given our thicknesses, I think I'll actually have to put it on the inside here, because the gray plastic here on the outside extends in a little bit too much to end up smack dab in the middle of this, which arguably wouldn't be the worst thing in the world, or in the middle of this cross brace here, but I'm going to put it, I think, on just the inside. So this isn't really a heavy-duty, super load-bearing sort of installation. It's just to hold it in place so it won't slide out on its own. So with that pulled out. Yeah. Okay. Just making notes on where I want to put it. We're going to put it now pretty much right there. Should be much better. And while I have it out here, I'll just pre-pilot this guy in. It's a little easier said than done. You have to apply a decent amount of force down as you get it started, and then the thread should bite. And if you can get a good close-up on that other one, you can see that it did actually cut really nice threads. Because once again, this is it's a pretty nice nylon fiber polymer. So, bring this here, whip him sort of back around. Needle there. Then we'll tighten you down. Yeah, that's much better. I'm sort of looking through it at an angle, just so I can see when it's sort of bottoming out. Should right about there. And yeah, pretty much no movement, which is good. So then we can secure the next layer onto that, and we're just going to sort of do the same thing really. For this one it's less specific because I know that the X here matches the X on the other side, so I'm just going to put a hole just away from where this guy sits, so it's just going to be, you know, down in this corner. You just want to make sure it's on the top side of one of these X pieces. So put on the bottom side, it won't hold it from sliding down, which is what you want to prevent it from doing. Oops. Too far. And it just takes a little bit of force here because the spring guide from the needle is pushing back on this. And or it seems to have a slight different fitment between the solid back panel and the whole back panel. So I think they're just because it's a different casting. I'm just going to crank it down till it's about halfway through. These are, what are they? M3 by 10mm is what I was using for a grub screw. You could use something shorter. And then, yeah, this isn't going anywhere in relation to the other one. That's all sealed. That's working as intended. And then next would just be our butt plate. Let me reset up the camera to get a better angle there. And then we'll be done. Okay, so as I had previously identified, the safe spot for me to put in a grub screw to hold on our back plate here, or butt pad, is about 1/2 inch below this joint. I marked it there with a pen, so we're just going to drill that out. Tap in our M3 grub screw. This is probably the only other telltale sign. And why we have to do all this is because we hollowed out the insides here and basically where the clips would lock in. Now, if you were to go a different option on this and just use like a 1/8 NPT to 5/32 banjo fitting, which I did get some of those to test, so basically it's a fitting that just goes straight up. That you could potentially get away with keeping the clips and the locks in place, However, I really wanted to go with the bleed valve, so I had an option to easier drain your tank. Or drain your air. Your CO2 bulb. So there, that's in place. And none of this moves around at all. So that's all secured. We still have access in the bottom here. Oops. Remember where the camera is. So our pressure regulator is right here. And you can even see clockwise is more pressure, counter is less. We have our bleed valve here to bleed air out of the system, so that's on the output side of the regulator. And to zoom out, we have our completed rifle here, which realistically, aside of our one little silver dot there from that, is complete and relatively not different in appearance compared to the original. Originally, this particular one came with just the cover where the monopod goes. Here is the actual monopod, and if I have a ruler handy, so the monopod would sit there. This sticks out just 3/4 inches more than the monopod would, so it's pretty unobtrusive for it. We have a shorter bolt pull thanks to the Mancraft SDIK. It's also lighter, and this will help avoid it hitting your cheek, so you can stay looking down your scope when you cock it back. So that's project complete. We have internalized air, the Mancraft kit installed. All that's really left is some more barrel work, which I have a EDGI stainless barrel custom made for this, and we'll be getting into that and sort of testing out the different hop-up unit options, because I like the fast style or dial type adjustment versus the 2 grub screws, just because it's easier to adjust in the field, in my opinion, and working with an R-hop and that stuff. If you have it set up right, you shouldn't really need to adjust your left and your right. It's just the amount of pressure. In my opinion, adjusting left and right and or to compensate with the wind, while cool in concept, really this is airsoft. You just shoot again to correct your shot if your first one gets taken a bit off target by the wind. And that's that. So thanks for watching. Sorry, I know this has been sort of long-winded, but just showing off that it can be done and how I went about doing it.